We welcome all of you, mostly students from Hyderabad. Welcome to our Brave channel, and today is a very wonderful, the first session in our Science and Spirituality series, which is Can a Scientist Believe in God? So this is a very interesting session. It's an introductory session, so without delay, let's start. So this is a big question which mostly today's scientific world is viewed as an atheistic scientific world, which means that the general opinion is that most scientists are atheists. So let's go into a little more detail about this topic. So as you can see here on your screen, we have a painting, and this is a world famous painting. All of us know this is Mona Lisa, and we also know that it has an artist. This painting did not come by itself. There was a very intelligent, a very expert artist by the name of Leonardo da Vinci who painted this very beautiful painting. So now the next question comes that who has created this real scenery? This is a picture on the screen, but this actually is a real object which we find in our world. Anybody who stays in the coastal areas, they can every day see this kind of a scene. Very beautiful blue sky, very nice clean white clouds and trees and very nice scenery. So the question is, who has created this? If a painting cannot come by itself, then what about the real actual world which we are seeing? Somebody must have created it. The question is, who is the artist? So today we're going to be a little introspective, or we're going to try to find out what science thinks about this and why it's important. Okay, here we have an example of a satellite, and with the advancement of technology, all different countries are putting out various satellites which are circumambulating the Earth and helping us in communications and many other areas. So what's very important about a satellite? Well, the point is that each satellite has a monitoring group, has a team of scientists who are monitoring each and every second what is the orientation of the satellite. Is it in proper orbit? Is it going to crash with another satellite? Is it coming within the gravitational pull of the Earth? And all the other factors, whatever factors are included, many factors are there, that it stays in orbit, and the batteries are functioning properly, it is being charged by the solar cells, and everything is working properly. So just to control one small satellite, insignificant satellite, there's 24 hours, whole year, there is a team of scientists, experts who are guiding it, who are controlling it, who are putting their intelligence. So the big question is that what about this universe? What about the natural satellite of the Earth, which is the moon? We know for millions and millions of years that natural satellite is staying in orbit. It is not crashing into the Earth, neither it is going away from the gravitational pull of the Earth, and it plays very important functions in our day-to-day life, like it creates the tides and some waves and many other features of importance this natural satellite plays for us. And also, so this was one example. Then there's many planets. If we talk about our own solar system from the standpoint of science, we have 9 planets here which are circulating around the sun, and they are not crashing into each other, they are not falling into the sun, they are not, and there are so many comets, or there are so many meteors, and they come and they go by. Some very rarely do they crash into these planets. And then there is another big question which scientists are very much amazed, that on the Earth the situations of life is just perfect. the situations, the requirements for life to take place is just perfect. If the earth was a little bit closer to the sun, it would be too hot for life. And if the earth was a little bit further away from the sun, it would be too cold for life. And then there are seasonal changes which help in various different vegetations, various different fruits and vegetables. And well, we can go on, but the point is that who is in control? Who is guiding this, or by whose power was this all created? So these are some important questions, as you can see in this image. Then there is the question of creation. Who created all this? Where did all this come from? Scientists try to explain it off using a theory called the Big Bang, that out of nowhere something came and there was a huge bang, and the conditions for a Big Bang are very mysterious. At the beginning of time, that means when time just started to exist. That means before that, time didn't exist. At the beginning of time, the first strange one. The second strange one was that there was an infinite mass, infinite pressure. Infinite pressure, there was infinite temperature, and there was time, the beginning of time. So at that singularity, when everything started, from nothing, everything suddenly started. So science cannot explain what was before the Big Bang, where this energy came from, where this mass came from, where this temperature came from, where this pressure came from. And suddenly there was a huge explosion and everything came into existence within a matter of few seconds. Then within a matter of few days, so many matter and antimatter collided, and well, we can go on about their theory. But it is a theory. Even science cannot factually say that this was a fact. It is a theory. We think that this is what happened. Well, even if we can hypothetically accept that, even if maybe this might have happened, then who provided this infinite temperature? Who provided this infinite mass? Who provided the infinite pressure? And who started the time? Who set the time to start now? So these are all very important questions which should develop some queries in our mind. So here the question is, who is in control? There must be somebody in control. So now let's move on to some more practical or some more day-to-day examples. Here we see there's a Dr. Richard, who is a MD and an author. He has written a wonderful book, The Brain, how complex the brain is and how, let's say, efficient or how powerful the brain is. Even the most powerful supercomputer today cannot match the storage capacity of our brain. Our brain can store so much information and process it at such a speed. And our brain is so powerful that we have done research in science, and we have developed computer technology and made supercomputers. So this is the power of the human brain. So he, according to him, the human brain can store more information than all the libraries in the world. And there are many scientific studies which suggest or which prove that a general human being, average human being, only uses up to 10% of his brain capacity, of his mental capacity. And there are many areas of the brain which are not even active. They are not even being used by the human being consciously. But unconsciously, in the subconsciousness, the brain at night when we sleep, it creates some dreams and all these things. So we can just imagine if we can channelize into the power of the brain, if we can learn how to utilize the brain, then superhumans, we can become superhumans. And there are many examples of such, like it's called prodigy children who have special powers, special intelligence. I've made one video maybe 3 months ago. It's on the channel, where we are exploring, there's one small girl, well, now she's grown up. She was in Canada and she was a wonderful painter. She learned how to paint by herself. And she said somebody spoke to her from inside, inspired her. And she says that, I believe that to be God. He taught me how to paint and he inspired me how to make wonderful paintings. So and then there's other children, sometimes they undergo some accident, and the scientists explain it that because of the injury in the brain gets damaged, and then the body is repairing the brain, and some nerves are connected to the wrong set of nerves. They're supposed to be connected to the proper set, but they're connected to the wrong set of nerves, which opens up a huge sector of the brain which wasn't being used before. And those children or those people can see wonders like mathematics or science. They become geniuses. So this is a documented fact. I can maybe after the session finishes, I will put a link. I will put the link in the description of this video, so any of you who are watching can later on check those videos. So very wonderful. So point is that the human brain is so powerful. Now the next question comes, then who made it? Who is the designer behind this? Did it all just come by chance or by mistake? Who made the natural intelligence of this incredibly complex computer, the human brain? So these are very important questions which we don't have answers to. Speaking about scientifically, we don't have answers to this. And great scientists have always been wonderstruck by such clear examples of intelligence. How there is some super intelligence which is guiding this system, or which is creating, or which is controlling, or which is making us evolve, or whatever. Modern science we tend to understand that modern scientists are more or less atheistic, but that's not a fact, which we will see in the upcoming slides. But majority of the modern science is simply about natural selection or evolution, or just by chance, these kind of theories. But that has been challenged in a very scientific way. We'll be discussing in the upcoming slides. Again, we have few more examples. This is a car, and it's a Ford Puma. So can we say that this car just came by chance or by natural selection, by evolution? Cars started to evolve and they just came to be like this. We can't say that. We know that Ford has made this. There's a logo, there's Ford, and it's the Puma model, and there's a factory which is producing these, and there's people working in that factory, there's people controlling it, there's intelligence involved in every single step of creating a car. Similarly, we take a smaller example. This is a watch. I don't know which company, but it's a watch. So can we say that watches just evolved to be somehow or other? Watches started to evolve and gradually they took the shape and size that we see today? No. Any intelligent person knows that there was some intelligent person, who came up with an idea that timekeeping is very important for human beings. And in the ancient times we had solar dials, we had solar clocks, which still you can find in India. We have in Delhi, and also in Jaipur we have Jantar Mantar, which was made by great kings in the past. So basically they use the shadow of the sun to see what time it is now. So there was intelligence. There was somebody who put his brain to work and said that the sun is moving in a similar pattern every day, and so we can know what time it is by seeing the shadow moving. So they made that, and then that gradually evolved as technology advanced, and people understood how gears work and how quartz crystal, they resonate in a certain frequency, and they match that to the second. And now we know quartz. We have quartz watch, and then there's digital watches, which basically rely on computers or electronics. So there you go. That's how watches evolved. They didn't evolve with natural selection or by chance or by mistake. No, and neither by a big bang. So there is always, if there's any creation, there is a creator. This is the point which we are seeing in every single example, and which is just logical. So we should put this logic to the universe that we see around us. I remember from my childhood, I was always fascinated by science. The very beginning was, in my childhood, sometimes we used to sleep on the roof when it was too hot. And there was a clear sky. I am brought up in a village. small town, village kind of place, Vrindavan. Many of you might know. So Vrindavan is not polluted. There is no light pollution, no any smoke pollution. So you can see, sometimes you can see the sky very clearly at night. And during those nights, I was maybe 10 or 11, I don't remember. I was a small boy. But when I would lie down and see the sky above my head with millions and billions and trillions of stars, and I would imagine, or I would understand, not imagine, understand, I could comprehend that each and every star is a huge planet. Just like our Earth, maybe much bigger. It's a huge planet. Or it might be a star, or it might be a planet, it might be, but there is something out there, right? And it's floating up there. And it's huge. And there's many millions of them, which we can see. And then there's many millions which we cannot see. So I was just amazed, or I was just so interested, intrigued by how great this universe is and how wonderful it is. And, so this is what I recall. My interest in science was always there. Then, of course, through my education after my 10th standard, I selected science because I was really interested. Specifically in physics and biology, I liked the theoretical physics. I liked a lot with all the theories and all the, I was just amazed at how this works. And of course, biology also, I was really, really amazed because the body is a wonderful machine which has got so many systems: digestive system, the nervous system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, the bone system, the tissues and the muscles and everything. My God. So really, I was even today I'm following sometimes science, and I've shared some videos with you in the comment section also, and in the description also, where there's a very nice channel called Discovery Science. It's an institute in the United States called Discovery Institute, and they're a dedicated group of scientists who are working on a theory called intelligent design. This theory came up somewhere in the 1960s or 1970s, where many scientists got together and said, it's okay, science is good, but we see here there's a lot of evidence that Darwinian evolution is not the answer to everything, or the Big Bang cannot explain these things. And as we will see in the slides upcoming, how intelligent design, put big questions to what modern science is trying to, force us to accept. So the big question is that this universe, in all its glory and all its size and all its, just to make your mind boggle a little, I'll tell you some textbook science which I learned in my 8th or 9th standard. Scientists, they estimate that each universe has 10 to the power 11 stars. Can we imagine that? They're not talking about planets only. They're talking about stars. Planets are very small. Stars are much bigger. So the scientists themselves are theorizing that on an average, we theorize that in each universe, and this is not the Milky Way or the galaxy, this is a universe which includes many Milky Ways and galaxies, whatever. So 10 to the power 11, that means 3 and 4, 5. When 5 zeros are there, it's a lakh. And when 7 zeros are there, when 7 zeros are there, it's a crore. So 11 zeros are there here. And so how much that becomes, I'm not sure, but that's how many stars it is. And on an estimated basis, we estimate that there are 10 to the power 11 galaxies also. 10 to the power 11 universes with so many stars and with many, 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 many more planets, comets, and meteors and all these things. So, well, more or less, it's almost infinite, right? It's really huge. It's like completely difficult to comprehend all this, but it exists. So what is the power behind all this? What is who created it? Why isn't it crashing into each other? And there is a big bang, it's expanding, and then there's a big crunch, and everything will come back and fall into each other, and then again there will be a big bang. And so a lot of things, and this also corresponds to some of our Vedic literature, which states that Mahavishnu is lying down, and from his body, from the pores of his body, millions of universes are expanding out when he breathes out. So that's like the Big Bang, what the scientists are saying. And when he breathes back in, All these millions of universes are going back into his body. That's like the big crunch. So I don't know if they stole the idea from our Vedas and came up with a Big Bang and Big Crunch, but whatever the case is, the point is that some intelligence and some power is there. Okay. Now, what do the best of the scientists feel? What is their views about this topic? First, we have Albert Einstein. Everyone knows him. He's the great scientist the scientist of the millennium, maybe, or the century at least. So there's a perfect brain behind all the natural physical laws. He had both views. He had atheistic views also, but at times he had theistic views when he just couldn't understand. So he also, to some extent, he accepts that yes, there must be some intelligence, there must be some brain behind all of this. If everything is working so wonderfully, and those who are actual scientists, those who know in details, that to the point, like 0.00000 to the power 10, point minus 10 to the power minus 10, even if a fraction of a change is there, then that could make our universe completely different. The properties of water itself, how the molecule is bound in such a way that water is the perfect solvent. It dissolves almost anything, and it doesn't corrupt it, it doesn't erode it. So that is a very important property for life to exist. At the same time, water, contrary to all other liquids, it expands on freezing. That's also very peculiar, and that helps our planet to exist, because if it didn't do that, then in the cold areas the water would start freezing from underneath, and the whole seas would be frozen, and there wouldn't be life as it is today. And also how water is a very good dissipator of heat. It stores large amounts of latent heat, and also it releases a large amount of latent heat, without which the human body could not function, because the human body needs to be at a perfect 36 or 37, something in between that, degrees for it to work properly, all the chemical reactions in the body. So the water is just perfect thing to help us do that. So some intelligence must be there who decided that, okay, this liquid will be little different from all the other liquids, and water is life, more or less. We know that without water there is no life, and our earth is 70% water, our body is 90% water. So there's even on water there's very nice documentaries, there's many researches done, and it's just like beyond the rules of science, beyond the general rules of science. Water is completely working very differently. So all of these scientists, they conclude that there must be some planning or some intelligence involved in these kind of operations. Lord Kelvin, who made the Kelvin, we know the Kelvin degree, the heat is discovered by him. So his opinion is that if you think strongly enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God. And he's a scientist who's practically working on science. So an honest scientist, an actual scientist, will accept his limitations. He will accept that, okay, I understand, but I don't understand everything. I cannot understand everything. It's just very, what will he say? It's just very proud to say that, or it's very arrogant to say that I know everything, I understand everything, and it's so an actual scientist will understand how much he understands and how much he doesn't understand, and there must be a controller, there must be some intelligence which is deciding these laws or deciding these parameters. And another very important scientist, Newton, he has many quotes, but just to save the slides and time, we are putting only one. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. So these are some of the top 20th century scientists, who are 19th and 20th century scientists, who are giving their 2 cents or their 1 paisa of knowledge. They're giving a real scientist will be humble, that how much I don't know. Another very wonderful quote of Newton, which is not here, but I remember, Newton was so fascinated by discoveries he made, and when he was glorified, the Newton very humbly admitted that, actually I feel myself just like a small child. And I'm playing on the seashore, and every day or every moment I'm finding a new stone which is looking more beautiful than the previous stone I found, like small pebbles, small stones. Whereas the whole ocean remains to be known, whereas the whole ocean remains to be discovered yet. But I am fascinated by just one small piece of stone which I'm finding on the seashore. So this is how he compared the knowledge which he discovered in comparison to the knowledge to be discovered yet, to yet be discovered and know about. So these are real scientists who are with a humble opinion. And so here's another Max Planck, the Planck's theory. Both religion and natural science require a belief in God for their activities. Now he's a scientist who's boldly speaking. To the religionist, to the former means the first one, to the religionist, he is the starting point. That means religion starts with the notion or with the acceptance that yes, God exists, and then now let's build upon that. And to the later, that means to the scientist, he is the goal of every thought process. That means the more he thinks about, the more the scientist reaches to God. That there must be some power, there must be some person, there must be some intelligence by whom all of this is being made or created or run. To the former, he is the foundation. To the later, the crown of the edifice of every generalized worldview. So basically, to simplify this quote, we can say, for science, God comes at the end, and for religion, like where science finishes, that's where religion starts. Like by scientific research, you can research, and then okay, there must be some, some being or some power or some intelligence by which all of this has come to being. And then you start into religion that, okay, now let me know who that power is, who that person is, or who that, intelligence is. Now let me start to understand or start to find who that person is. And that's what religion is. Religion is trying to find out who is God and how we can connect with God. What is our relation with God? And so many questions which we'll be seeing at the end of today's slides. So we have reached the half point of today's discussion, and here's the big question. Okay, let's accept that, okay, yes, God, as you're saying, yeah, some creator, some God may exist, yeah. So can you show me God? And this is the main question. This is the second part of today's slideshow or today's session. So let's get into it. So we have three ways of gaining knowledge. We can gain knowledge in three ways. The first one is known as pratyaksha praman, which means direct sense perception. That means seeing is believing. If you can show me, then I'll believe. If you cannot show me, I cannot believe. This is the first way of gaining knowledge. It's important. The second way of gaining knowledge is anuman praman. These are Sanskrit terms, and I'm telling the English version. So anuman praman means theories based on evidence. Sometimes there are many things which we cannot see, but based on the after effects or based on the evidences, we can conclude that this must have been there. That's why this evidence is here now. And we'll be giving examples in the upcoming slides. And the third process of gaining knowledge is shabda praman, which means hearing from a bona fide authority or from a bona fide source. Just like from the very beginning of our childhood, whatever we learn is from hearing from our teachers. When we hear from our teacher that 2 + 2 = 4, and we accept that okay, the teacher said it, so it must be true, and I accept it. And we apply it in life and we get our work done. 2 + 2 = 4. So in that way, there are many axioms in science also. Axioms means, I hope some BTech students are there or some science students are there who understand this point. Axiom means, some truths or some fundamental points which cannot be proven, which are difficult to prove, but using which we get our work done. Just like iota, the square root of -1 is an imaginary number. It doesn't exist and it can be proved, but it's a function and we get our work done. Please excuse me, I'm not a mathematics student, so I won't be able to explain in details. Neither, if I get something wrong, please excuse me. I'm not a mathematics expert. Little science I liked. But the point is that we are using these axioms. We are using these axioms to get our work done, which cannot be, like even the electron. That's another example. The electron cannot be physically proved, or it cannot be located. That's Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. That you cannot know the velocity of an electron. Either you know its position, or you know its direction, or the speed. Sorry, either you know its direction or you know its speed, but you can't know both at once. And then he said that it's not a particle, it's a wave, and there's a dual theory, and there's quantum mechanics, and there's a whole new sphere of science is opened. So these are called axioms, which cannot physically be proved, which cannot be like pratyaksh praman and anuman. So we cannot understand that, but we just have to accept it and work our way ahead with it, get our work done. So now talking about pratyaksha praman, we're going to give you examples and see how it is not the perfect way to get to the truth. If we want to know the truth, what is the absolute truth, where we have come from, how this whole universe has come, or what is after this, or whatever. If we want to know this truth, then pratyaksha praman is limited knowledge. We cannot get perfect knowledge with using this first way of knowledge. So here we have two examples on the screen. One is of this person, this gentleman, who is looking into a convex mirror. We have a convex mirror in front of him, and naturally his image will be distorted. It will be stretched. He will look fatter than he is. So if seeing is believing, then this gentleman will have a heart attack. That how did I gain so much weight and I look like a cartoon now? But we know that it's not true. We know that seeing is not believing. Sometimes we may be illusioned. So this is one example. Another example is of refraction. All of you know this, even a child knows this. When you have lesser density and a more dense liquid, or whatever medium, then light is bent. The light traveling through a denser medium tends to go slower, and it is bent at a different angle. So if you put a pencil in a clear glass water, in a water glass which is see-through, and when you observe it, you will see that the pencil looks a little bit, as you can see in this image in the presentation, the pencil looks a little bit bent. But if you take the pencil out, it is exactly straight, and you put the pencil back inside and it is bent. So this is called an optical illusion. And there are many more optical illusions on the internet. It's always famous. There's every day new optical illusions come out, and it seems like something, but actually it's something else. So the point is that we cannot acquire absolute knowledge through material senses. Our scientific knowledge is relative. Now we're going to understand what this means. We cannot understand the absolute truth, or higher knowledge we cannot understand through our blunt material senses, because of the following 4 defects. Our senses have 4 defects. The first one, and this is given in the Vedas, we are presenting the Vedic knowledge in a very simple terms so all of you can understand it. The first one is imperfect senses. Our senses are imperfect. We'll be discussing each one of these, so don't worry. The second one is we have a tendency to be illusioned. Sometimes we can mistake things. The third one is we can commit mistakes. We can be illusioned. That means we see something and we think that is happening, but actually something else is happening. The third one is that even if we are doing the right thing, sometimes we do mistakes. Like in mathematics, this is the greatest headache. You've got a huge problem to solve, and somewhere down the line, you wrote a 4 instead of a 5. Or you miscalculated, just one small calculation was miscalculated, and the whole answer is wrong. So we made a mistake and everything turned out to be what it is not. We didn't get to the truth. We got to something else but the truth. And the fourth one is a cheating propensity, that sometimes we cheat. Well, all of you, honestly, who can say, putting his hand on his heart, that throughout my whole education, throughout all of my exams, I never cheated? All of us will find that there is this tendency to, cheat sometimes. And that is there even in the greatest of scientists, which we'll be talking about now. So the first defect is our imperfect senses. Our senses are limited. To be precise, the first example is of our eyes. Human eyes can see only a light range of 400 to 700 millimicrons. That's the visible light range which we can see, and that is called the Vibgyor. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, red. VIBGYOR. And rays which are smaller, the frequency is smaller or larger, are categorized into X-rays and radio waves. If I remember correctly, those which are smaller, smaller frequency, then 400 millimicrons are X-rays, and the higher frequency are radio waves. I might get it wrong, please forgive me if it's wrong, but the point is that our eyes can see only this light range. So anything which is beyond 700 millimicrons, we cannot see that. We cannot see so many things, like even the sunshine. The sunshine has many rays. It has ultraviolet rays, it has infrared rays, it has gamma rays, so many other rays, I'm not sure, but many rays. But our eyes can only see the VIBGYOR light range. That's all our eyes can capture. So there is many things which we cannot see. So how can we claim that I have seen everything, or by seeing I can believe? So this is a fault. The second example is our ears. Our ears can hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and that also is the maximum. Average humans may have a smaller hearing range because of various, like let's say 40 or 50 hertz to 18,000 hertz or something, practically. So there are dogs can hear much higher frequencies, and many times bats completely depend on high frequencies, sonar or radar. They use that. Dolphins also, they use that. And even like all the other animals, they have some extra capacities. Like dogs, their nose is so sensitive, they can smell 1,000 times more strongly than human beings. So our senses are limited. So to solve that problem, scientists, they make telescopes, they make microscopes, and they make many other devices so that our sense power can increase. But there's a fallacy in that also. Even if we make microscopes, still ultimately we're going to see that through our eyes, and that is again limited to 400 to 700 millimicrons. And even our brains have a limit, right? Even our brains have a limit. They're not unlimited. We cannot process unlimited knowledge. We cannot, there might be so much to know, but our brain may be limited to know a certain degree, to a certain extent. So this, because of imperfect senses, we cannot know the truth fully, perfectly. Now the second point is to be illusioned. We have this tendency to be illusioned. One example is that in the kitchen, there is a pressure cooker which is hissing, and we may mistake it for a train. A train is going by and hissing. So if our house is just near the train track, so we might mistake the pressure cooker to be a train going. Another example is, you can see like on the screen there's two examples more. If you eat sugar and then eat an orange, it tastes sour. But if you eat an orange first, if you eat a lemon first and then eat that same orange, another piece of the same orange, that same orange will taste sweet. So this is relative to our experience. If we have a sweet experience, then that will be sour. If we already have a sour experience, then that will be sweeter. Same thing with our hand. If we put our hand in hot water and then touch normal water, that normal water will feel cold. But if we put our hand first in cold water for 1 minute and then touch that normal water will feel hot. So this is an illusion, that normal water is the same temperature, but now it is feeling hot and now it is feeling cold. So this is a tendency to be illusioned. We're going to go a little fast so that we can cover up everything in 1 hour. The third mistake is, the third defect is that we commit mistakes. And science along its journey is full of such mistakes, or such, well, they say learning curve, or they say, we are getting better knowledge. But the point is that our knowledge is not perfect, right? We can't say that science is perfect. Science is working its way towards perfection. So modern science is not perfect knowledge. That's a fact. Previously, the brain was considered a cooling device which cools our blood. So it was a big mistake. But later on, they found out that actually it's the most important part of our system. Then the pituitary gland, or the master gland, which controls all the hormone secretions, it was considered to be a vestige organ, or that means like of no use. Like even today our appendix is considered a vestige organ. That means scientists don't find much use for the appendix. So before, the pituitary gland was also considered like that. Who knows, in the future maybe scientists will say no, actually the appendix is very important, and without that this won't function, and this that may happen. And there was a constant, Hubble's constant, which changed so much every time they measured it that now they should rename it as the Hubble's not constant, but the Hubble's, it keeps changing. So in this way we see that there is mistakes in science also, which when I was studying in school days, I remember there was updates, and they said that this theory is outdated, and there's a new theory which is going to replace this, and in the next edition of this book we're going to be printing the new theory. And of course there's that famous example of the atomic model, starting with Rutherford, or before that also in the ancient times. I won't get into details, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. That over the years various models evolved, new theories evolved, and in the scientific world a theory is accepted as long as it cannot be disproved. Mark my words, try to understand this point. It's a scientific point. We will accept any theory which you can scientifically, like experimentally verify. There's 4 stages. One is a hypothesis, then inference, experiment, hypothesis, experiment, inference, and then theory. So first of all you get an idea, then you set up an experiment which will try to prove your idea. By doing that experiment you will find the certain proofs, and with those proofs you will theorize that because this happened on the addition of this and subtraction of that, that is why I theorize that this is the cause of that and this. So now this is accepted as a theory, and it will be accepted as a theory until some greater scientist comes and says, I'm sorry sir, this is completely wrong, because I have done some experiments which disprove your theory and which show that something else is a theory. So at that time your theory will be disproved and put in the rubbish, and his theory will be put on the theory board. That means it is yet to be disproved. It cannot be further proved, but it is yet to be disproved by some other theory. So that's how theories work in science. So we cannot depend on them completely. And the 4th point is the cheating propensity. Just as all of us had this cheating propensity or still have it, similarly even in the world of science, when a scientist hits the fame or the the big, he does some big discovery, and he's in the limelight, and to save that reputation or to get his grants or whatever the reason may be, he might make up some story, or he might do some cheating to get his work done. Well, what I remember is in our chemistry classes and maybe you also can remember some instances in our chemistry classes, many a times we had to do some chemical reaction and add this chemical to that, and get a certain color or get a certain result. But many a time I wasn't very good at chemistry, that's why I said biology and physics. I said I'm interested. Chemistry I wasn't that good. So many a times we wouldn't make it, we wouldn't be able to do that experiment properly, and we would just yes and it turned blue or it turned green, whatever, and we just faked it because we couldn't. So that cheating propensity is there. And this is one example of that cheating propensity, the pilled down man. As we know, in evolution they have so many, the Neanderthal and the pilled down and the this, that, how gorillas or how chimpanzees evolved into humans. So they have to find intermediate stages of, okay, this is something in between a chimpanzee and a monkey, and then we see the next stage has evolved and the next stage has evolved. So we have to find those skeletons, we have to find those bones to prove this theory. So what they did in 1912, they found such a bone and they presented it, and Darwinism was accepted that yes, this pilled down man was between this million and this million years, and we see that the chimpanzee has evolved another step into being a human. But upon closer observation, upon closer research on those fossils, in 1953 scientists were looking through microscope to those samples of bones, and they saw that the jaw this portion was filed. Filed means was scrubbed and modified so that it can look something between a chimpanzee and a human being. And then they reported this as a fraud, and this came out to be a huge disappointment or a huge embarrassment to the scientists who were involved in that project. So there are things like this. And many a times there is like we're doing some research and we find some things which are opposing our theories, so we lock them up in a hidden folder. We put them away, we don't talk about them because they are opposing our theory. So in this way there is some cheating propensity, or there is some defects in humans, in human nature. Due to this, we cannot expect to find the ultimate truth through scientific research. Now the next level of knowledge is the uman praman. Anuman praman means inference. So we can give some examples. There's many things which we cannot see. Let me just blank the screen so our attention is not distracted. There are many things which we cannot see. For example, all of you and I, we have a mind. We have an intelligence. So I cannot see your intelligence, neither can I show my intelligence physically, tangibly. But just by seeing your degree, that you have passed out from college or you have passed out from school with good numbers, then I can understand that yes, you must have some intelligence which I cannot see, but you must have it because I am inferring, or I am, anuman. I am, because of this things, then I am understanding that yes, you have this quality or this intelligence is there. Similarly, we cannot see radio waves. All of us are using mobiles these days, communication or internet or mobiles, whatever. So it is working on the principle of radio waves. So if I say, this is my mobile, let me see. This is my mobile, right? So I don't see any radio waves coming out. So I don't believe that there is radio waves. Can we say that? No. But on the anuman praman, that means on the second level of knowledge, we can infer that actually, I'm able to speak to some other person who is very far away, and that voice is coming through this, and there must be something connecting, and that is called the radio wave. So I accept, yes, there is radio waves. So that's called anuman praman. So now, lot of things which we cannot see physically or which we cannot prove physically can be proved with anuman praman. This is a way of gaining a little higher knowledge than this first pratyaksha praman. So another example, of anuman praman is that in the far distant forest, we see some smoke coming out. Above the trees, we see a lot of smoke coming out, but we don't see the fire. So by anuman praman, because I see the effect of fire, I see the results of fire, that is smoke, so I can theorize, or I can know that there must be fire in that forest. That is why the after effects of fire are being visible. So although I am not seeing the fire directly with my eyes, I am very far away, but still seeing the after effects of it, seeing the results of it, I can conclude that there must be fire in the forest. Either it is a man-made fire or it is a forest fire, that I don't know, but there must be some fire. Or it can even be, some person is shooting a movie and they're making false fire, false smoke. Anything can be. But so in this way, there is limitations to anuman praman also. There is limitations. Another example, I have a neighbor, and one day I hear there's a huge fight and people are screaming in my neighbor's house, and I'm thinking that what is going on? There must be fighting, and I hear gunshots, and I run over to my neighbor's house. Hello, open the door. And when I open the door, I see that they're all sitting down and watching a movie, and they're enjoying their new 5.1 surround sound system. They're enjoying their new home theater, which sounds exactly like a real life incident. So that is called anuman praman. Based on the evidences, I am thinking that this might be happening, which might be true, which might not be true also. So modern science is mostly working on these two levels of knowledge, that is anuman praman, and then trying to experiment and get a pratyaksh praman, that means to see it actually happening in front of the eyes and accept it as a theory. Now there is limitations to that also. This is a picture of Charles Darwin, and in his private letters to some of his friends, he is confessing that to suppose that the eye could have been formed by evolution seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree. So although Darwin has proposed evolution, but some places he also had his doubts. And in the next slide, we'll be seeing a very good example of this. Well, just to give a little brief explanation, the eye is a certain part of the body which never changes throughout, from childhood to old age, we have the same eye. It doesn't change. And also the eye cannot, evolution means, trial and error. But the eye is in such a way that there is no trial and error. It's just either you have an eye or you don't have an eye. Similarly, there is a very nice, this is an E. coli bacteria. Any of you who have done biology must be frustrated with this E. coli, because what I remember is in every single class we used to hear E. coli, E. coli, E. coli, and it had become a great big joke for us. But today E. coli has come back, and it's going to teach us a lesson about evolution and modern science. So here we see the E. coli has a special rotor, has a special rotary engine motor at its tail, which helps it to propel itself in liquids. And upon magnifying it on electron microscopes, scientists are amazed to find a hook, motor, rotor, rod, flagellum, and all these different parts which are actually whatever the motor we are using today, the electric motor we are using today, is based on electromagnetism, right? There's a coil in the center, and then there's electromagnets outside, and then there's some electromagnetic forces which causes the north and south to repel each other. The north and north to repel each other, south and north to attract each other. And in this way we create some motion, and we spark the electricity in such a way that it's always one step ahead of the coil, and the coil is attracted and repelled, and then we get some momentum and speed and whatever. So that exact same mechanism is found in the E. coli bacteria on a very, very minute scale, on a very, very small scale, which previously scientists didn't know because they didn't have that technology. But today, as electron microscopes are available, scientists on the right side, as you can see on the right side, this is an electron microscope imagery, which is showing exactly what we have built as electric motor in our day-to-day life. The same things you can see surrounding our cells, or places where there's different charges, electrical charges are put surrounding this, and in the middle there is it's being repelled and propelled, and then it's connected to a hook and a filament, and so this is termed as the most efficient motor of the universe. Our motors have an efficiency of maybe 60, 70, 80%, I don't know how much, but they have an efficiency that this much electricity is being translated into kinetic energy, and this much has been translated into heat, this much has been translated into wastage. That's called as an efficiency. But this natural motor found in an E. coli bacteria is the highest efficient motor available on this planet. And he's getting it for free. And there's millions of them. And now the main point here, there's a group of scientists who are called as intelligent design. They're backing a movement called intelligent design, which is opposing this natural selection, or by mistake, or this what's it called, by chance, the chance theory. It is rejecting that and asking big questions, that how can a rotary motor be built by chance, and that on a very small scale also. So the main argument here is that either you have a motor, you cannot have a half-made motor and evolve it more. It just won't work. Unless everything is perfectly in place, that motor will just not work. Evolution means you have something working and then you try to improve it, try to fix it more and more. But when you have a motor like this, either it works, either it doesn't work. There is no improving, right? You have to have a working motor first of all. So there is no, scientists just cannot accept that natural selection could come up with such a thing, or that the eye could have naturally evolved. Well, in today's session I won't get more into detail, but I have given some links in the comments and the description which is going to take you to the Discovery Channel. This is a science Discovery Science. It's not Discovery exactly, not Discovery Channel. It's another channel run by these intelligent design scientists, very great scientists. They're not laymen, they're not X, Y, Z. They're big scientists out there, and they're giving some very hard evidences, very strong proofs that Darwinism cannot, or the Big Bang Theory just is insufficient to understand today's modern world. So I would urge you later on in your free time, please do visit those links and see for yourself. Very wonderful research done by the scientists in this field. So this is Anuman Pramaan also has its limitations. Here we see that this cannot be explained by Darwinian evolution, this kind of complex structures. So now we come to the third process of gaining knowledge, which is known as Shabda Pramaan. So Shabda Pramaan means top to bottom. Now all the scientific research which we are doing is bottom to top. We are starting off with nothing and then building up, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then trying to get to the ultimate knowledge. But Shabda Pramaan is working the other way around. The person who himself has created that machine will give a blueprint to you and tell you that this is how it's working. That means top to bottom. Just for example, this mobile phone. If I want to decode this, I'll have to take it apart. Each and every circuit board I'll have to study, and I'll have to see which wire is connecting where and how much, what components are there. And I have to use so much research and so much brain, and even then, still I can get it wrong. Still I can make mistakes. But the top to bottom or the Shabda Pramaan method means simply I will go to Nokia and I'll say, sir, I want to understand how you have built this mobile. And he will call his blueprint in charge. He will call his engineers, and they will explain to me that, sir, first of all, we have this board, this circuitry, it's using this technology, and then we have this, and that's it. Without wasting a single moment, without making any mistakes, without any cheating, I have got the complete knowledge of how this mobile operates. So that is called Shabda Pramaan, and that is the most powerful. If we can get authentic knowledge from an authentic person who knows actually about that, then we can have the perfect knowledge of the system without any separate endeavor and without any mistakes. So this is the third process of knowledge, and this is what spirituality is based on. Spirituality is based on this third concept, this third knowledge. So the person who has made this universe, the person who knows about this universe, if he explains about it, there is nobody better than him. And that's what the Vedas are. The Vedas are age-old knowledge which are given by God. And in the upcoming sessions, we're going to discuss, I think in the next session itself, in the next session itself, we're going to see that there are so many Vedic texts which have not changed till date, and they are still true today. For example, like in our Srimad Bhagavad Puran, which is at least 5,000 years old. It was written 5,000 years ago by Vyasdev, and before that it was orally recited and told to the students. But 5,000 years ago it was written down. So in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, the whole embryology is very clearly described, that in the first month the baby is like this, in the second month the baby looks like this, in the third month the hands and feet start to create, in the fourth month the eyes are starting, and in the fifth month this happens, that happens. And it is exactly what modern science knows. Modern doctors, when they see the Srimad Bhagavatam and the description given, they consider maybe at least 2,000 years old or 1,500, but even then they consider that how could humans have so detailed knowledge about embryology at that time. And there is many more, so I won't be telling right now, but in our next session, that means next Friday, we will be seeing many things which our Vedas had. I'll give some examples of, there is metallurgy, they had advanced knowledge of chemistry, they made advanced weapons, and even that iron pillar of Delhi is very old, but it has no rust on it. That means they made a perfect alloy which doesn't get rusted. They years ago. So they were advanced in scientific knowledge, not that, and because from the Vedas they got that. Then there's astrology, that means when will solar eclipse and lunar eclipse take place? They have that from many years, and it is exactly corresponding with modern science. Both of them are able to predict when the eclipses will take place. So there's very deep mathematical knowledge in our Vedas, which is known as Vedic maths, and there's very deep scientific knowledge which we'll be seeing in our next session. So now the point is, The question was, can you show me God? And the answer is that first of all, we have to qualify to see God. We have imperfect eyes. Even if God appears, what is the guarantee that we'll be able to see him? There are so many things which we cannot see. I cannot see what's going on behind my back. I cannot see what is going on 3,000 kilometers away from me. I cannot see what's going on in another universe right now. And many things I cannot see. So how can I claim, or how can I demand to see God right now? Show me God with these eyes which are not perfect, with my senses which cannot understand some things. Even to the extent of, there's another nice example that, I don't believe Modi exists. I don't believe our Prime Minister exists unless I am able to see him eye to eye. If we make such a claim, we are crazy. Modi exists, we just have to accept it because of so many proofs, so many verifications. We see videos of him, we see news of him. Who knows? Maybe 2,000 years later, people may even doubt the existence of Gandhi. That who knows Gandhi existed or not? I don't believe. And that's exactly how it is. People start to even Christ, historically 2,000 years old, people start to doubt whether Christ existed or not. People doubt whether Mahabharata happened or not. People doubt whether Krishna, such a personality, existed or not. So we have limited understandings, or limited understanding, or limited brain. We cannot, so many things which, like just say a small ant or some small other bug. Many times, you try to push it away, but he doesn't realize that, you're trying to push it away, because he just cannot see that or understand that. To him, you look like a huge mountain. That's it. He doesn't know that there is such thing as a human being and I'll be crushed by it. He doesn't know. His understanding is limited. Similarly, human beings have a limited understanding. Even if they're seeing something greater, they'll just think maybe it is just part of the universe. That's it. They might not know that there's a greater conscious being, or as we know in our Vedas, there's demigods. So even if we physically see a demigod, we might just think maybe it's a cloud, or maybe it's it's something else. We might not even realize what it is. So there is all these many points which we should try to understand, and don't claim that show me. Seeing is believing is true to some extent, but then there is some things which we cannot see, but still we have to accept. So let's go along with the great scientists. They are done a lot of research. They have very advanced knowledge, and even great scientists today, many great scientists today also, internally they may have so many thoughts and but externally they cannot present that, because they will be ostracized from the scientific community. They'll be kicked out. And there's a nice documentary, I've given the link. It's called No Intelligence Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed. It's a very nice documentary, which I feel is very fair between modern science and between intelligent design. It's given both of them their proper arguments. It's given both of them their chances to explain each other. And it's there in the description and in the comments. So No Intelligence Allowed is a very nice 1.5 hour documentary. Those of you who really are interested in science, it'll be like a Sunday movie for you. It'll be wonderful. I still like it. I watch it sometimes because it points out that there is some higher intelligence, definitely. Very scientific documentary. So you can watch that and you can get some nice insights from there. So the point is that now, if we want to have the perfect truth, ultimate truth, that actually what is the real truth, we have to hear it from the person who has created this world, who has created this universe. So in our conception, that is God, and he has given this knowledge through the Vedas, which we receive through the disciplic succession. As you can see on the screen, there is different gurus who receive this knowledge and who give it to their disciples, who give it to their disciples, and even today we can get this same perfect knowledge of how this universe was created, what is the purpose, and so many other things through them. So in this session, we're not going to talk about that knowledge. In our next session, we're going to talk about the knowledge and how scientific it is even today, 5,000 years later also. It has not changed. It is still the same and it is applicable. And so here we have some, so who is the proper person to hear from? Then how we select which book to read from. So the Vedic process of learning is that we should only hear from those who are bona fide. Like if you go to some college, then you cannot hear from anybody. You will check whether he is an authorized teacher at that college or not, whether he is accepted by the college. Then you will hear from him. Similarly, who can we hear this Vedic knowledge from? He should be a person who has heard from his own guru. He cannot just come up and say that, oh, I have read so many books and this is what I understand. No. He must have heard from his guru, who has 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 heard from his guru. Ultimately, it goes on to God. God has told the first guru, that is like Adi Guru, that means Brahma. There's 4 sampradayas. There's the Brahma Sampradaya, there's the Rudra Sampradaya, there's the Kumar Sampradaya, and then there's the Lakshmi Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya. So like you are in Hyderabad, South India, many of the students. So there is a Sri Sampradaya is very popular, Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. So we have to hear from persons who are in that Sampradaya. In ISKCON, that means this is Brahma Sampradaya. This knowledge was given by Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma gave it to Narada. Narada gave it to Vyas. Vyas gave it to his disciples. And today also, that very same knowledge, if we hear from a person, proper guru, then we simply accept that knowledge and simply repeat that knowledge to others. That same perfect knowledge is being transferred. Another example of this is, I may not understand it completely, but just simply repeating it is also perfect. Just like a small boy who is not very expert in mathematics, but if he hears a complex mathematical problem or a mathematical formula from some great teacher, and if he simply repeats it, now I don't know because I'm not a mathematics student, but let's say some formula, a plus b equal to something, something, something. He doesn't understand it because he's not that level. But if he simply repeats to others that today I heard from the teacher that this plus this equal to this, 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 that knowledge is true. He might not understand it. He might not be able to explain it, but that knowledge is true. It is as it is. It is proper knowledge. So similarly, through the acharyas, through the gurus, we can get this perfect knowledge still today. The second thing is the authorized college. Just like if you go to college, if you go to join any college, you'll check first. Is this UGC recognized? Is this, genuine college, or is this a fake college? Because we want the genuine thing. So similarly, there is 4 sampradayas. As I told, there is 4 Vaishnav sampradayas. There's the Sri Sampradaya, there's the Kumar Sampradaya, there's the Rudra Sampradaya, and there's the Brahma Sampradaya. So you should always, anywhere you want to gain this knowledge, you should first ask, which Sampradaya do you belong to? What is your disciplic succession? Are you bona fide? Are you authorized to give this knowledge? And have you heard this from your guru, or you are making this knowledge yourself? So if it is his own mental speculation, then we cannot accept that. But if he has heard it from his guru, who is a proper acharya in the parampara, then we can accept it. We can accept that this is truth. The third point is authorized books. Just like we study in school, so we can't study any book. Some book may be very good, but if it's not authorized by the NCERT or the National Committee of the Education of India, we cannot, even if we study that book and write the exam, it will be wrong. We won't get the marks because, ultimately the exam is going to be judged on the knowledge given in the NCERT recommended books. So similarly, authorized books means like it should be authorized book like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Puran or the Puranas given by Vyasadeva. In this way, we can be sure to have proper knowledge. Knowledge which scientifically also we may not be able to get. How this universe came, or we are the soul, that also we'll be discussing in the upcoming sessions. These are very fascinating knowledges, but through science we are not able to understand or even come to this level that we are the soul. So this, you stay with us, you please join us every Friday, and we'll be scientifically discussing all these topics. And you can ask your questions in the comments right now. We'll be discussing the questions also. There's the last few slides. Till then you can ask your questions. Don't be shy, ask any question. No question is bad, all the questions are good, and clear your doubts. So here is another question. Who is my father? Now there's 3 ways of finding this out. There's the pratyaksh praman. If I want to see that, okay, my face looks like this, I have to find somebody who looks like my face. Then you're going to be crazy. You cannot find out who is your father like that. You can make so many mistakes. Or your father may have died and you'll never find him. The second way of finding out is the uman praman. That means I am going to get a DNA sample of there are 7 billion people on this earth. I'm going to get a DNA sample of each and every one of them, and I'm going to try to match them. It's going to take 200 years to process all that data. I won't be alive, and neither they will be alive. And even after that, there's a 20% chance of error, right? Even in the experiments or the DNA analysis, the name may be misplaced, and some other DNA may mix up with something else, and my God. So this simple problem cannot be solved by pratyaksh praman, neither by anuman praman. This simple problem can be solved by Shabda Pramaan. You simply ask your mother, Ma, who is my father? And she is the authorized person. She created you. She knows who your father is. And she'll say, my dear son, so and so is your father. 3 seconds. It took you only 3 seconds to get the perfect knowledge who is your father. So this is the power of Shabda Pramaan. If properly, if everything is proper, then this is how powerful it can be. If you find the proper person, if you find the proper books, if you find the proper, parampara, then you can get huge knowledge in a very small amount of time. Perfect knowledge also. So we are going to be dealing on these 3 levels of knowledge, and specifically on the level of Shabda Pramaan. The person who actually knows, he is telling about, that means God knows everything. He told the Vedas, and we accept that, and then we just hear or study the Vedas and we get that knowledge, perfect knowledge. Now in the Vedas there is Viman Shastra also, how you can make airplanes, and they are making them now. Although not the Puranic way, but there is knowledge even there. How to reverse gravity also. There's yogic siddhis. There's so many things which in our Vedic knowledge is given. So, which will be on our next upcoming slide. That's next Friday. So the Vedas offer insights into who am I. Now science cannot answer these questions. Who am I? Where have I come from? Where do I go after death? They say you're a bunch of chemicals. Somehow the chemicals came together and consciousness is made, and when you die, consciousness finishes, and that's it. But no, we have seen many cases of reincarnation. That's in our 3rd slideshow, Science of Soul. We'll be scientifically discussing about the soul. So I'm again and again urging you, please do attend these sessions. You yourself going to be amazed how much scientific proof there is in our spirituality. And no matter which religion, we're not talking about some specific religion, but spirituality in general, and how much more knowledge we can actually gain if we accept spirituality also. So what is the purpose of my existence? Who is God, and how am I related to God? All of these things will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. So now moving on, we're going to come to our question answer session. Hare Krishna, we have a lot of comments. Prabhuji, our scriptures were based on science only, like Hanuman Chalisa, distance of sun. Yes, Ankur Sharma is giving a very good point. In the Hanuman Chalisa, the exact distance of the earth and sun is told. So I won't get into details here. You can search it out on the internet. Scientists like Einstein, Newton, and Oppenheimer have studied the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Oppenheimer is a very important scientist who had worked on the atomic bomb. And when the first atomic bomb successfully exploded, Oppenheimer quoted Bhagavad Gita. He said, he quoted Kalosmi Lokoksha. He quoted from the 11th chapter. Time I am the destroyer of these worlds, and I have come here to kill everyone besides you 5 Pandavas. So he saw that this Divisurya Sahasrasya Bhavedyuga Paduttita Yadi Bhasadrishi Sasyat Bhasastasya Mahatmana. This verse is from the 11th chapter, and Oppenheimer quoted this verse. When he saw the brilliance of the bomb was so bright, as if millions of suns have come in one place. And that is what Arjuna saw when Lord Krishna showed his Virat Roop. So Oppenheimer studied Bhagavad Gita, and he could understand what Arjuna could understand through that atomic bomb. He saw this is the power. This is a small fraction of the power of God. In the atomic structure, how much energy God has stored. So Oppenheimer was a great scientist who has, But today's so-called educated people don't want to know this. So we have to, because there's a huge conspiracy, the British had come and tried to defame all this and cover all this up. But, that will be discussed in our next Friday. We're going to discuss all these points. But we have to scientifically understand and present this so that our people will open their eyes and again accept this knowledge. There's a question, who is Richard Restak? So I can answer that. You please do a research on the internet. Google is there. Google bhai hai na, wo sab bata dega. He's a scientist, author. Even there are cases of past life present. Yes, we're going to be talking about past lives in our 3rd session, Science of Soul. Hare Krishna. Whoever is giving a Hare Krishna, as I am giving a humble Hare Krishna back in reply. Some devotees are suggesting to have classes in Zoom or Google. I have done that, but there's always issues with connection, and many people don't socialize. I mean, they don't put their video on, neither their audio on. So I thought, what's the use? Better just do a. And on the YouTube, it will be there for everyone else to see later on also. So that's a plus point. Okay, we have many comments. So let's see, where is the. Do we have any questions right now? So Narayan has a question, has a comment here. Somewhere I read a quote as Einstein saying, "Don't torture innocent students by teaching them my theories." He also agrees that it's confusing, but knowledge from Krishna and Bhagavad Gita is so perfect. Yes. VKR Gamer, Jai Shri Krishna Prabhuji. My friends tell, who is God? I do not believe in God. I am in 8th class. So VKR Gamer, thanks for watching this session, and now you have some answers. If they say, show me God, then you can tell them that, what can you see with your eyes? Even what is behind this wall you cannot see. How far can you see what is there? And even you can see only for 400 millimicrons to 700 millimicrons frequency of light. So what can you see? How you will see God? And if somebody says, if Modi exists, you must bring Modi in front of me, then I will believe. So it's just impossible. Why will Modi come to show himself to you? You have to be qualified, then he will come. Similarly, if someone says, if God exists, he must come in front of me and show himself. He can, if he wants, he can do that. But why would he do that? Just like why would the Prime Minister of India come and show himself to you? What are you worth? You do something good first. You do something wonderful for the nation, and of course, Prime Minister Modi will come in front of you and give you a great present also. So similarly, you do something wonderful. You serve God in a wonderful way. You show your loyalty towards God, and one day God may be pleased to come and show himself to you. That's what all the great saints of India have done. They have pleased God by their devotion and love, and God has come and showed himself to them. So yes, you can see God. The question that, can you show me God? Yes, but you must qualify. The answer is yes, but you must first qualify. So it is possible to see God, but not in a challenging mood. So that's some answer for your friends in the 8th class. AV Tales. I am a master's student and I am afraid from research because उससे भक्ति कम हो जाता है और भरोसा कम हो जाता है. Well, to some extent, but the thing is that the more you research into science, the more your faith will increase in science. And these great scientists, they are pointing out that there must be some intelligence. They're not saying that there is no God. An actual real scientist will ultimately come to believe that yes, there is some intelligence. और साथ साथ में ठीक है, आप साइंटिफिक रिसर्च कीजिए, उससे डरिए मत. साथ साथ में आप स्पिरिचुअल रिसर्च भी कीजिए ना. आपको कौन रोक रहा है? आप भक्तों के साथ अपने क्वेश्चंस को पूछिए, अपने डाउट्स को पूछिए. यू आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम द डिवोटीज, एंड you do spiritual research also. We are doing spiritual research. It is told in the Shastras that it is told that if you chant the name of God with love and devotion, you will experience God. So this is an experiment. I try to do it now. You chant the name of God with love and devotion, and the result should be that God will show himself to you. So you do the experiment and the result will come and your faith will increase. If by chanting the name of God nicely and following everything properly, if you are able to experience God, the presence of God, or some miracles happen in your life, suddenly something happens and everything is fixed up and your big problem is solved, that is a proof, that is a scientific proof that by chanting the name of God, God helped you. And it can happen once, it can happen twice, thrice, and in the first time you may think maybe it's coincidence. But again and again same thing is happening, then it's not coincidence, it's a proof. Scientific experiment means which can be verified multiple times. So you do do spiritual research also. Who is stopping you? You do it. You chant the name of God, you read the Bhagavad Gita, and it is said that by doing this your tension will go, you will become happy, and if you become happy and your tension goes, then your faith will increase that yes, spirituality is very good. Now we'll be doing spiritual research in the 3rd session. Science of Soul is a whole topic of research, scientific research into spirituality. So you must come and join that 3rd session, which is going to be on the next of the next Friday. Not the next Friday, but the next Friday. So you come and join us and get to know that. Those who have questions may ask. Yes. Why we get ourselves for all reasons or worsen situation. Mohit Mirotaji, you are asking why we get ourselves for all reasons or worsen situations. I'm not able to exactly understand what you're trying to say, but whatever I understand, I'll try to answer. All solution to our problems is there in the Bhagavad Gita. If we simply, first of all, we must have faith. If we want to know more about faith, how important faith is, I have a session, maybe in my live streams, if you see, there is a session on the faith, Shraddha. Just search my channel, there is a Shraddha. It's a 1-hour talk, how important faith is and how we can increase our faith. So we must have faith in Bhagavad Gita, first of all. And when we have faith, then we'll follow it. When we follow Bhagavad Gita, we will see all our problems are gradually being solved. Now, I can say it solved my problem. He can say it solves, but there are so many people all over India and it's solving their problems. That's why people are liking ISKCON and joining ISKCON. Joining means not full-time. Joining means becoming close associates. Every day, every Sunday going to ISKCON, hearing the lectures, or going to the Aarti, taking darshan. That, in that sense, they are connecting to ISKCON because they are getting some tangible results. They are getting results in their life. So, all solutions to our problems is in the Gita. Now I can just give a brief overview, just like, again the mobile, because I have a mobile with me. So this mobile, if I buy a mobile, it comes with a user manual. And if I read the user manual properly, then I can know that how to operate this. Now see, if I have not read the user manual, what is the thing? I am pressing so many buttons, but it's not opening, right? I am pressing all these buttons, it's not opening. It's still locked. The keypad is locked. So I'll say this mobile is useless and I'll throw it away because I don't know how to operate it. I'll become frustrated and angry. But if I read the user manual, it will tell me that first of all, sir, you have to press this button and then you have to press this button and then you can unlock the, right? Then you go to the menu and then you select whatever you need. So this user manual is very important. And this Bhagavad Gita is a user manual for our human life. How to get happiness, how to solve our problems, as all is told in the Bhagavad Gita. But we don't care to read it, neither follow it, then we say, no, it's not working, it's frustrated and get angry. But my humble request that you please read the Vedic scriptures, starting with the Bhagavad Gita, the very first, and you will get all very nice understanding, proper solutions, and you will become happy, all your problems solved, and in this way, get your work done, don't remain unhappy. Okay, so I'm very thankful to all of you. Today we are going to stop our session here. I have given a few videos for those who are interested at the start of the chat and in the description of this video also. So those who are scientifically inclined, I'll suggest that you can watch these videos. They're very nice, real actual scientific research videos which will bring you closer to an intelligent being. That means some intelligence is operating this world. And we hope to see all of you again in our next session, which is going to be on the next Friday, 6:30 p.m.